Welcome to Squeaky Controller. Today we'll be playing the penultimate mission of Uncharted 2, Broken Paradise. It starts out with you without any weapons running away from Lazarevich's men, while the indigenous people of Shambhala attack them. There's essentially no threat to you as you run away, although you are getting shot from all sides. It's actually not possible for them to kill you at this point. Once you get to this platform, a cutscene will activate, and you'll have access to your first gun. At this point, it's unclear just how deadly the indigenous people are, but we presume they're like the gorillas that we met in the mountains, since the gorillas were the indigenous people in disguise. Now, it doesn't really matter if you take this guy down or not. I'm not even sure if it's possible, because he's utilized in the next cutscene. As you see behind them on the left, there's that heavy impaled on a stick. Now you should head out this way. It's really your only option. If you can get to the guns before the cutscene activates, that gives you a little bit more ammo for the next part when you'll definitely need it.
Looks like someone else made it in here before us.
Let's hope we have better luck making it out.
Yeah. These bodies look like they've been here 60, 70 years.
Hey, didn't seem to do them much good, but here.
Apparently there are also some World War II weapons around.
Well, Lazarovich and his crew will have headed into the city, so if we can just make it back to the entrance.
Now this cutscene is rather long, so I'll start straight away by telling you about the strategy for the next section. In the next part, two indigenous peoples will arrive, and you'll have to face them for the first time. Now, as you know from your previous encounters with the indigenous, they're very hard to take down, and by this point you haven't managed to kill one yourself.
Is certifiable. He thinks he's fulfilling some sort of prophecy that the stone will somehow make him invincible, immortal.
We're standing in the middle of Shambhala, and you're questioning what's possible?
Yeah, you saw how many bullets they pumped into those things. Something strange is going on here.
All the more reason why we should get out.
My strategy is to run around the central platform, going into a roll as often as possible, while firing at the indigenous person that is on the ground. Don't worry about the one that is up on the platform. If you stop for too long though, one of them will fire the crossbow at you, and their crossbows fire multiple arrows at the same time. Which means if you take basically one full burst round, you're done for.
Not this time.
Come on. What do you say?
That you're crazy. But let's go save your bloody world.
At this point, try to grab as much AK ammo as you can, and if you go into this section here, you'll also be able to find some grenades, as well as pistol ammo. Now, once the first indigenous person is down, things can get a lot easier if you get their crossbow. What a lot of people don't know is that the golden crossbows, which the indigenous people have, are actually very high-powered weapons if used in the right way. It takes only 2 direct shots from the crossbow to take down an indigenous person, while it takes only 1 in the back. It is even useful against regular heavies if aimed in the right spot. If the indigenous people get too close to you, a cutscene activates in which we'll have to do some quick button mashing in order to get out of the way. Now remember, the first indigenous person is your priority, and it's okay to run away from them while you fire. Once you get the golden crossbow, that's where you can go for the second indigenous person who has now moved down to the ground. Again, 2 direct shots from the crossbow at him will take him down. If you can get behind him and shoot him in the back, then you'll only have to use 1 crossbow round and that could come in handy later. And now another arrives who throws explosives. Now these guys are actually a lot less threatening than they may seem.
Shit, those things blow up!
The explosives do less damage than a regular grenade, and if you keep running around without stopping, it's pretty easy to avoid them. Now remember, it's useful to have more crossbow ammo for later, and these guys don't give up any crossbow ammo if you take them down. So it's best to only take the shot if you know you're going to hit the target. See? 2 shots and that's him. Movement is your best friend in this fight. Now again, I recommend sticking with the crossbow. It's going to be pretty useful in several situations that are upcoming. In order to move on from this area, you need to get through the opening through which the indigenous people came in. And you can do this by climbing first this, then the tentacle looking thing with the golden handholds,
Come on, you can make these jumps.
and then jumping from platform to platform to get up here. And you should remember at this point that the blue sap that you have been finding throughout the game explodes if you shoot it.
What the hell? Oh my god, what is that?
The sap is
And that's going to be useful for clearing the way through these vines.
Warning next time, maybe.
In this part, I recommend shooting the sap from the first position that you managed to jump up to. It might be tempting to get to the yellow pole first, but I think that's actually harder and you have nowhere to jump to once you get there. Now you can jump backwards onto the pole and proceed with opening new areas. Now this vine you can only shoot up here, which is why you did that whole
Now we're talking.
circle in order to get to it. Now you're free to access the next area.
Wait,
Now you can see the temple in the background, which is your final destination.
It's all so beautiful.
Now feel free to explore this area. Pretty soon bad guys will show up and it's best to be far away from them when they do, so that you can stealthily take them down. When you get to about here, that's when Elena and Chloe spot the reinforcements. And now I recommend taking them out stealthily so as not to attract the attention of the heavy with the Gatling gun that arrives.
Too damn quiet.
Now first I jump onto here, and as you can see there are several soldiers approaching throughout. I prefer to take them down in this order, and as far as I can tell, it's the best one. First it's this guy, who won't hear you coming no matter what. Then wait a little bit, because this soldier might still be crossing the doorway, and then get behind him and take him down stealthily too. Grab his Desert Eagle, that might definitely come in handy. Now there's one last guy you can take down, and he's up here. But make sure not to jump up too early. If you take him down stealthily, you actually get the sniper rifle, which is useful for seeing what you're actually up against. As you see, there's a heavy and 2 assault rifle guys with him. Now this is where the crossbow comes in handy. If you kept it at this point, I recommend going back into the tunnel and then getting up and behind this rock. Now what you want to do is wait for the heavy to turn to the right, so then you can shoot him in the back, and essentially it's a one-shot kill. Now throw these grenades so that you don't have to worry about the assault rifle guys as you're getting to the Gatling gun, and once you do, you can basically fire at the respawn point, which is at the top of the ledge you originally came down on. Now try to take out the RPG guy and the sniper rifle guy first, since they're likely the most trouble. But here I get away with him firing a couple of RPG shots anyway. It gets pretty close with the heavy, but good enough. As soon as you take down all of the soldiers, drop the Gatling gun and run away, because 2 indigenous people arrive in the same spot right after, and you won't be in a good position if you stay with the Gatling gun. Instead, I recommend getting as far away from them as possible, so Chloe and Yelena attract their attention. Once they're engaged in a firefight, at first I try to get off a good shot with a crossbow, which is again why I kept it this whole time. But then when I realized that they weren't actually interested in me anymore, I got back to the Gatling gun and used that at range. If the Gatling gun constantly hits the indigenous people, then they actually have no chance for firing back at you, and the threat is essentially neutralized. Here I'm looking around for more golden crossbow ammo, which, as you can see, I've found pretty useful. But I would actually recommend you trading it for something else at this point. Keeping the crossbow did get me in trouble from here on in, but it did lead to some fun moments.
Stuck. Yeah, the counterweight's missing.
Now the problem is that the gate is stuck, and the way to get it open is to actually climb up this side of the wall and get onto the chain that is on the right. After you reach here, a cutscene activates, and there's really nothing to worry about. Now, because I was so determined to keep the golden crossbow, I actually didn't have any primary weapon ammo, and I went down into this canal system with just a Desert Eagle. Luckily, I had some grenades, but at one point, I was down to one shot and facing down an M32 hammer. So how I survived, I have no idea. Then to make matters worse, I went up ahead, forgot that there were more guys up there, panicked, couldn't get into cover, and still survived. Then I remembered about the hammer and went up and started using that, which are going to prove pretty useful against the heavy and the sniper rifle. Another heavy over here. Now again, I'm getting to the crossbow, which is probably not the best strategy anymore. because even more guys have arrived with a sniper rifle and plenty of ammo. Got pretty lucky over there and got back to the M32 hammer. Now remember, their M32 is only really useful if you get a direct shot, so use it appropriately. As you can tell, there's one guy on the ground, and I got very lucky that I managed to get him just in time.
You guys alright?
Yeah.
Now again, I'm going back for the crossbow, which is really not that useful at this point because I don't have any sidearm ammo, which basically means that I'm useless in a firefight. As you might remember, I'm trying to save the golden crossbow ammo for the indigenous people, but there aren't actually any for a while, and I'm not sure that I really need it. Now there's a sniper rifle down here, and I would actually recommend grabbing it, because when these guys come out, I'm stuck with no ammo and one crossbow, and there's no way to get back up there to it. So what I decided to do is let the women do some of the work. After waiting for a few minutes, I realized that it was actually impossible for Chloe and Elena to kill any of the enemies, even though they managed to shoot off his helmet. So I decided to get involved myself, but I didn't want to waste another crossbow round, so I decided to engage him in hand-to-hand combat. Luckily, they did enough damage on the heavy for me to be able to kill him with one punch. Once I had his shotgun, it was pretty easy. Again, they pick up the crossbow, which is down to one round.
Let's use the cart.
You have to move this in order to get it into position for you to jump up.
That'll do it.
Nice work, guys.
Thanks for the help, Chloe.
Don't mention it.
The crossbow will come in handy in the next segment, but there are ways to get away without using it, so it's really up to you. I would probably at this point have something else so that I can get at least a little bit more involved. And there's that temple, presented quite beautifully. Now when you come in here, you're going to be witness to a firefight between Lazarevich and more indigenous people. There's a heavy with a Gatling gun around, and plenty of overpowered indigenous, so I actually recommend sticking back for a while. If you do that, that really reduces your work. Plus, I really don't have much ammo to go on, even to face these guys. So at this point, I'm still deciding what to do. But then I figure it might be a good time to get around them, so that I can actually make a crossbow round count by hitting somebody in the back. Once I do, I realize that I can keep going, and I think I've discovered a rather good strategy. There is an RPG on this side which nobody seems to have used. I use it to take out the heavy, and create just enough time for myself to get to the Gatling gun. Now the ammo is a little bit diminished, but it's definitely enough to take down the remaining indigenous, who have all been a little bit damaged due to the previous firefight.
Watch out for the guys with the slings! They just keep coming!
Now at this point, 3 more indigenous persons show up, and this is where the crossbow comes in handy again. Remember, only 2 rounds is what you need to take them down. The explosive throwing indigenous are even easier, because their projectiles don't do as much damage as grenades, and they pretty much stay in the same spot. And one last shot, and that's that. So again, the golden crossbow is very useful against the indigenous, as well as some heavies if you manage to hit them in the back. If I was doing this level again, I would probably ditch the crossbow after taking down the previous indigenous people. Once you come into this room, there's plenty of crossbows being dropped, and you just give yourself more trouble by limiting yourself to that specific primary weapon without any sidearm ammo. Now what remains is just a bunch of stairs to get to the next cutscene. There's probably plenty of treasure around, but I'm not really interested in collecting that on this playthrough.
Alright, we're almost there.
There it is.
Once you get to the top, a cutscene activates in which you realize that there is no gold at the end of this rainbow. Instead, the treasure that everyone has been hunting is actually the blue sap that you have been encountering throughout the game.
Something's not right.
What do you mean?
Marco Polo had it wrong. This isn't a sapphire, it's amber.
Amber.
Yeah, fossilized resin. It's tree sap. Wait a minute.
What is it?
You gotta be shitting me.
Hello, Nate.
I hate it when he does this.
Tell me about it.
How could I have missed it?
Missed what?
There's not actually a stone. It's the resin, the sap from the tree of life.
Okay, hold on. Now you've lost
And the top of the temple is not even where the bulk of it lies, but it's down there where you will encounter Lazarevich for the last time.
There he is. Lazarevich.
He's headed to the tree. Oh my god. The black teeth.
What?
The black teeth on those guardian things and the bodies in Borneo. They ate the resin. and it changed them somehow.
And you think that's what Lazarevich is planning to do?
You really want to wait around and find out?
But not before Flynn interrupts your epiphany. Unfortunately, Flynn never reformed, and Lazarevich eventually turned on him.
Disappointed Lazarevich beat you to it? Afraid you just missed him. Figured I'd stay behind and wait for you to come join my little party.
What are you talking about?
Maybe that's what old Soren wants.
With what seems to be a bullet to the heart, Flynn decides to use his last moments to exact some vengeance upon Drake and his friends.
No, we can help you.
Sorry, love. This isn't a movie. And you're not the plucky girl who reforms the villain and saves the day. It's just not done like that.
Flynn, listen to me.
Party can give
At this point, you'd really think Yelena would get back quicker.
pity he took the pin.
Get back!
Elena!
No.
Oh my god.
Helena! Okay, you're gonna be okay. Come on, we're gonna get you out of here. Come on.
Stop, Lazarevich, go!
Not a chance. Come on.
Shit.
It's alright, I've got it. You cover us.
This way.
While Chloe carries Yelena around, you have to clear the way. It's actually kind of sweet.
Come on, honey. You can do it. Hang on.
Now this is essentially the last firefight in the game, not counting the boss level, so do your best to enjoy it. The first item that's available is a sniper rifle, and that's rather useful against the laser-sighted goons up ahead. There's plenty of guys coming your way, but at this point you should have lots of grenades, and the sniper rifle really comes in handy.
Clear out!
I try not to waste the sniper rifle ammo unless I'm shooting at the laser-sighted enemies. Now be careful with getting up ahead too soon, because there's plenty of reinforcements incoming. Now sadly, I missed my last shot. There are two heavies incoming, but luckily I have plenty of grenades to make it difficult for them. Now I'm out of primary weapon ammo, so I decide to pick up the shotgun before using the last grenade.
Come on. You can do it. There we go.
At this point the M4 is probably your best friend for the boss level, so do leave the sniper rifle behind.
Come on, let's step over this.
Watch your step.
You can do it. Come on, one big step.
I think that's the last. Hey. Hey, Elena, how you doing, huh?
Not good.
You just hang in there, okay? I'm counting on you. Head for the gate. Go as fast as you can.
What do you mean? No. No way.
Look, Chloe, I have to end this.
No, you don't. Don't you dare take on this stupid crusade.
Just get her out of here.
Not without you.
Look, if that stuff could really transform Lazarevich and his army.
Please don't do this.
If it could actually make him invincible, and I didn't try to stop it.
But this is suicide. And you know it.
And that's pretty much that for this level. Please join me next time when I conclude my Uncharted 2 playthroughs with the boss level Tree of Life. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe for more content like this.